ahead on 12 News, the final rounds, why 50 years of golfing history in Plymouth will soon end. Then, Men on the Mend, a place in Golden Valley that helps men in recovery transition to a new life. But first, more details emerge about a suspect shot and killed by Brooklyn Center Police. 12 News starts right now.
There are conflicting accounts over how a suspect was shot and killed by Brooklyn Center Police.
The officer involved is on paid leave, which is standard procedure. Eyewitnesses tell the attorney for the suspect's girlfriend that Edmund Fair was handcuffed with his hands behind his back. The attorney for Officer Ryan Soliday denies that account, saying Fair was not fully cuffed. Edmund Fair died last Friday following a traffic stop on Shingle Creek Parkway near the entrance ramp to westbound I-94. According to attorney Michael Padden, Fair told police there was an arrest warrant out for him. He says that's why police handcuffed Fair. Witnesses say Fair was seated and then attempted to stand up, which is when some sort of struggle occurred. Attorney Padden says the witnesses told him that police attempted to tase Fair, but that the tasing had no effect. Padden says police then tried to pull the handcuffed Fair to the ground. That's when Fair was killed by a single gunshot to the chest. And now, once again, the attorney for Officer Ryan Soliday is disputing the eyewitness account that Fair was fully cuffed. Attorney Paul Rogaszewski says video and audio evidence will prove the officer acted properly. He says Soliday and another officer were in a life or death struggle with Fair before he was shot. The grand jury will ultimately determine whether the officer acted properly.
We're also learning more about Edmund Fair, the suspect who was killed. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office says Fair was facing a 6-year prison sentence after he missed a sentencing hearing for his role in a 2011 kidnapping and rape of a woman in Brooklyn Center. Court records also show Fair served jail time for a gross misdemeanor arson case, and Fair served prison time for second-degree felony assault. A Plymouth golf course that's been in the community for the past 50 years will welcome its final golfers over Labor Day weekend.
Elm Creek Golf Course is located along Highway 55 next to the Medina border. But on Monday, the owners plan to close down the course for good to make way for redevelopment. Delane Cleveland joins us now to explain. Delane?
Yeah, Mike and Shannon, discussions to develop the Elm Creek Golf Course have been going on for years. But after Labor Day, development will be one step closer to reality.
Great history here. People enjoy it. They've made some wonderful improvements over the years. And so it will be a loss. People will miss it, that's for sure. And it is making room for more development in the community because, as a lot of people know in this part of town, development is still on fire.
GWS Land Development of Plymouth plans to construct Creekside Hills, which will contain 156 single-family homes on a 69-acre panel of land northwest of Elm Creek. Plymouth City officials say the homes would cost somewhere between $600,000 to $1 million. Plymouth Council member Judy Johnson admits the hefty price tag will help boost the city's tax base, but that isn't their primary objective.
And it does increase the city's tax base, so that's a good thing. But one thing I will say, a lot of people think that maybe the City Council is approving development specifically to increase our tax base. We really don't look at that and consider that at all when we look at development. It really is about planning and guiding.
And the Wayzata School District has purchased the remaining portion of the land. Judy Johnson says they're working with the school district to possibly do a joint collaboration on playfields for the site. Meanwhile, Mike and Shannon, employees of the golf course, say they'll be busy all weekend leading up to that final day. However, they declined interview requests, saying they would just like to close quietly.
Probably several golfers ready for that final swing.
I'm sure they are, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Delane. Well, there's a heads up for commuters who use the Maple Grove Transit Station. They may run short of parking spaces next week when University of Minnesota students go back to class. An express route to the U resumes next week, but the ramp there has already been nearly full lately. It has 926 parking spaces and all but about 36 have been filled. A notice to commuters says there are not a lot of viable options until the new ramp at Parkway Station near Maple Grove Hospital is finished. It's currently closed for expansion. Nearly 300 additional spaces will be available when that ramp opens in December. When men complete the rehabilitation program at the Salvation Army Adult Treatment Facility in Minneapolis, they still face some challenges transitioning back into society.
As 12 News reporter Neil Persley discovered, that's where a Golden Valley organization has stepped in to bridge the gap.
In this Golden Valley neighborhood, there's a wellness center, but not the kind you'd typically think of.
It's a place to feel at peace and accepted.
It's called Alpha House, part of the nonprofit Alpha City Corps. It began 8 years ago when Kent Garborg was called to teach men in recovery at the Salvation Army in downtown Minneapolis.
It's a kind of a safe environment, drug and alcohol-free environment, but it's more than that. It's really a community of men that work together to rebuild their lives.
Since then, more than 65 men have transitioned back into society through Alpha House, including Peter.
I had given up on life. I just, like I said, I was going really hard. I was on my way to making very good money, very, very good money, and I lost it all, every last bit of it.
That was Peter's bottom.
Lost all my belongings, everything.
He entered the Salvation Army's drug and alcohol rehabilitation program, where he met Kent in a Bible study course that Kent was teaching.
We're a Christian-based operation here, and the center of what we do is a man's relationship with Jesus Christ.
Maintaining healthy relationships externally is also key.
The most likely cause of a man relapsing is isolation and not being plugged in to a community of people who can speak into his life and where he has really a sense of participation.
Alpha City Corps takes no public money and operates on donations, rent that it charges its tenants, and its business.
We collect books, DVDs, CDs, computer games, and we resell those on Amazon.
Peter's been at Alpha House for almost a year and has a very positive motivation for reaching his goal of having his own place by Christmas, because
it'd be nice to have a Christmas with my daughter.
In Golden Valley, Neil Persley, 12 News.
Alpha City Corps will host a golf tournament, which is its primary fundraiser, on September 18th, and you can find more information on alphacitycorps.org. Coming up, a Maple Grove school that prides itself on a classical education.
We'll explain what that is coming up next. And later in sports, Breck's girls tennis team aims for a big season.
But first, it's your AccuWeather forecast.
A Maple Grove charter school is only 3 years old, but it is growing.
Administrators say the school's growth is proof some parents are looking for a classical education. We visited the school today to find out more about what that is.
An adjective modifies a noun or a pronoun. An adjective asks what kind, which one, how many.
As fourth grade students at Parnassus Preparatory School,
Where do I go to a noun or a pronoun?
students know expectations are high.
Subject,
There's English and math homework every night, reading unabridged classics over the summer, and then the class recitation.
period, statement, declarative, sentence, go back to the verb.
Classical education and high expectations go hand in hand at this 3-year-old Maple Grove charter school.
We're really about the classical education. And classical education is a proven method. It's used. It's 2,500 years old.
In a classical education, kindergarten through 4th grade is the School of Grammar, where students learn the basics of every subject.
Marlena, tell me what else you notice about shape.
The School of Logic is in grades 5 through 8, where students examine the how and why.
How did the artist make that a successful piece of work?
Then 9th through 12th grade is the School of Rhetoric, where students learn critical thinking and expression.
They need to know that it's a rigorous program and it's really a choice that we're providing to the community.
And the community has responded to this educational option. Demand is high, so the school accepts students on a lottery system and plans to expand to grade 12 in the next 4 years.
I think we underestimate the students and what they can and can't do. There are a lot of families that come here and tell us that their children are bored. They're looking for something more challenging.
Filled in, or they can be blank.
3 years ago, the school opened with 150 students. This year, they have more than 700. And Mike, when we talk about rigorous, they start learning Latin in 3rd grade. I never had that in college.
3rd grade. Well, get them while they're young.
Yes, that's right. Coming up, a group in Golden Valley says it needs more singers.
But first in sports, we wrap up our training camp report with a look at the Providence Academy Lions. John Jacobson has that and more in just a moment.
Winning a section team title is the prime goal for the Breck girls tennis team this fall. To that end, the Mustangs will play a tough schedule. Matches against Class 2A powers like Edina, Wayzata, and Minnetonka will test the Mustangs. The girls relish the challenge, ultimately hope it will make them into a better team in the postseason.
It's the best tennis for them, and it's important to me to schedule those matches for them and to get them out there and they can see the competition and they can pick goals for themselves. And they actually do really well when we play those matches.
Just to have that experience and playing tougher opponents always helps your own game, and you learn from them and you can also push yourself.
Breck gets most of its top players from last season back, including Sunny Tang and state runner-up Hattie Zhao. Mustangs also have a good group of young players, and that's forcing the upperclassmen to be on their games.
I definitely think that having a lot of young players will push each other because they're very close in age and stuff, and trying to fight for the spot.
Breck's section will look a lot more winnable this fall, with the Blake School moving to Class 2A for tennis. The Bears had won the last 2 state team titles in Class A. The Providence Academy football team put in a lot of work this off-season, hoping to hit the ground running for summer camp and ultimately avenge last season's disappointing finish. Jason Milillo previews the Lions.
Losing in the section final last fall hurt a lot, but members of the Providence football team swallowed that pill and went right back to work.
We hit the ground running right the day after. I mean, that's off-season training started then, and it hasn't stopped until it started 2 days here. You know, we take it very seriously. You know, teams build in the off-season.
Providence will be young but not green, with a lot of the players having varsity experience. The Lions also have a new head coach in Derek Ashey, who has been a longtime assistant at Providence.
The best way to operate for me is to put good people in places for them to do a good job and have the right people in the right places. If I can do that, that makes my life easier. And that's very helpful. And I'm fortunate to have great coaches, experienced coaches, passionate coaches, love the kids, love the game, and coaching the right way.
Providence should stay true to form on offense, utilizing a good offensive line to jumpstart the running game.
The kids that started last year on the line are starting this year. They have experience. They're looking really well. Yeah, so I think line is looking good.
Providence is a program on the cusp of being a perennial power. Players and coaches know it, take pride in it, and will try to use it as motivation all the way to the Metrodome. Jason Milillo, 12 Sports.
Providence gets back 5 starters in both offense and defense in Derek Ashey's first season as head coach. The Lions opener is Friday night against St. Agnes. That game will be played at Concordia University in St. Paul. Cooler weather is on its way to Minnesota late this weekend, and with the passing of Labor Day on Monday comes the unofficial start of fall. Here's pro angler Terry Tuma with his final open water fishing tip of the season.
Fall is a great time to catch big fish, trophy fish, quantity of fish, and we're talking about walleyes, bass, crappies, and even sunfish. But especially bass, if you're looking for a trophy fish, these fish move up into the shallows. They feed very, very heavily. Same thing with walleyes. You can have an unbelievable bite. In fact, a cloudy day, if a warm front is sort of stationary or stable weather, excellent walleye fishing. Daytime bite, they're going to be deep, but you can catch them all day long in the fall. It's just a wonderful time frame. Same thing with crappies, but crappies many times will roam a basin. This is where your electronics are going to be a big factor. And sunfish, generally speaking, shallow at the first part of the fall season right now, and then moving into deeper water, but still also very catchable. This is the last segment we have for open water fishing right here on Channel 12. Hopefully you learn a few tips to help increase your success and have fun on the water. You know, that's part of fishing today, taking your family or children out. That's what it's all about, keeping some of the fish to eat. That's also part of fishing. And we will be back in December talking about ice fishing with a lot of new tips coming up. Just a very fast, exciting, growing sport. And we'll talk to you in December right here on Channel 12.
Doesn't seem like it ought to be cold enough for ice fishing, does it, after this last week?
Not at all, not at all. All right, thanks, Sean. Well, it has been hot lately, and our heat wave and lack of rain is certainly causing problems out in the garden.
Well, some lawns and plants are looking pretty brown, and in this week's In the Garden, reporter Sonia Goen shows us if some of those wilted plants can be saved.
It's been weeks since we've had a good downpour, and it shows. Look around your neighborhood, and there's a good chance you'll spot a not-so-green lawn.
It's all about the water. Turf needs an inch a week in order to be healthy.
Many people have put off watering in the hot temperatures.
85 degrees is the temperature that grass starts to go dormant.
You can revive your grass, but it will most likely include a lot of weeds.
You'll have grass that, it'll come back, but it won't be in the same condition as when you first, put it in.
Some plants are also suffering in the drought. While it's too late to save your annuals, you can still help your perennial plants.
You can continue to keep it alive by watering it, but it may not leaf out this time of year. The plants are thinking about shutting down for the year now, and so just keeping the roots healthy is what you need.
And if leaves are already falling off your tree, that could be a sign your tree is in trouble too.
We really need to be cognizant of the trees. If you start seeing your inner leaves dropping, that's a bad sign. Leaves aren't supposed to be dropping yet.
Because tree roots are so deep, you have to give them a good soaking.
Usually you have to sprinkle them for about an hour.
For In the Garden, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
And a reminder about watering, when it's really sunny and hot, you can lose up to 65% of water through evaporation, so it doesn't do as much good. So it's best to water your lawn and plants either early in the morning or in the evening. Well, still ahead, a chance to make your voice heard in Golden Valley.
We'll be right back.
Well, finally, if you can carry a tune, a local choir needs your help.
The Showtime Chorus is a senior group that is based out of Golden Valley. They like to belt out show tunes and even a few pop songs too. The group performs throughout the year at nursing homes, community centers, and other venues, but the Showtime Chorus is short on singers.
The best way to get choral music to sound good is to have more voices.
They want more voices. Now, you don't have to try out to be a part of the group. If you're interested, you can log onto our website for more information. We'll tell you where you need to go. So it sounds like they have a good time.
They have a blast doing that, I'm sure.
And people probably like to see them coming too, I
Yeah.
bet. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Stay with us. Community Corner is coming up next, and we'll see you back here tomorrow beginning at 4.